Hello and welcome. This is a video for CSC134 talking about Module 2. Module 2 will be opening up, well, it's open now. It goes through the third week of February. So let's take a look at this. Now, one thing I want to show you is, well, the Zybooks reading is due on certain dates, yes. I've also included slides from previous books. These are in PDF format. And one of the things I want to talk about today, because we're going to be looking at a particular lab or tutorial, where I want to look at M2T2. So I want to look at the CN operation. So I would like you to look through this, either the reading in your Zybooks or look through these slides. You know, just a PDF you can read through for examples to go through how this works. Now, one of the problems I wanted to look at was to go in based on these and look at some example programs. You'll notice here I'm in presentation view, which is going to hide all the participation exercises, only show the challenge exercises. The other reason I wanted to do this video was to kind of show you how the challenge exercises work. Now, the early ones aren't required, but they will be required later. And if you take 234, the labs work in a similar process. So in this program, we see what's going on. We always stick to the format of input, processing, and output. So, well, before we can do input, we need to pick good variable names and know the types. So this is a question about car leasing, down payment, monthly rate. They've chosen int for everything. Probably okay. You could use double maybe for money, but they're just using whole numbers of dollars. And we have a CN for each of these commands. Before you have a CN, you should have a cout to ask the question, because CN is just going to sit there and wait for the user to type something. So we'll ask the three questions, and then we'll do the processing, the calculation here, where we do some math. PEMDAS, the order of operations, does apply like in regular math, but the easy way to remember is use parentheses, and that way you'll get the answer you expect. In this case, yeah, I want to add the down payment to the total price I pay, which is here 60 months for 300 months, or 300 for 60 months rather. Sorry. And then finally for output, we print the output. So I'm kind of doing a learn by doing here. I want to show you this challenge exercise. One of the reasons I wanted to show you is so you can understand how the auto grader works. I got a couple people the first week who were freaking out because these things are not really intuitive at all. Well, if I run the program, let's see what happens. Notice this is actually compiling the code on the Zybooks server and running it. Kind of like Replit does. There's another site called cpp.sh that might be worth checking out if you're having trouble with Replit. Let's look at what it says. So when you're using the auto grader, there's actually two programs. There's a program you wrote, or in this case that you added some code to, or will add some code to. And there's another program the computer's running, which is punching in values like it's pretending to be a user. So it enters values for num1 and num2. And then it checks your output to see if it's right. Well, here you see my output was 21,000. Well, that's interesting. What you see here is final result was never given a value. Because of that, it's just some random value. And when I run it again, it's going to have whatever's in that memory location. So certainly, it's not going to work without any code here at all, but just good to know. But I want to show you something else here. So you might say, oh, okay, well, what they're asking me here, well, what I often do is just take the thing they're asking and turn it into a comment because, hey, forget looking up and down all the time. I'd rather just be able to read this. So I'll say if num1, so here's my example, right? Okay, so let's go back to this. This is section 2.5, by the way. All right, good. So I could say here, final result equals 3. I mean, that's the answer, right? If it's 4 and 5, 4 plus 5 is 9, 9 divided by 3, 3. And sure enough, at least the first test will say it's correct. When you hard code the answer like this, it's kind of like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. They built a giant computer called Deep Thought to answer the question about life, the universe, and everything. And then the answer was 42, so now they didn't know what the question was. But I digress. So here I'd see the final result is 3, which is correct if it's, 4 plus 5 is 9, divided by 3 is 3. But if you use a different number, it's not correct, which is, what I would expect. Now, just so you know, like let's say, for example, I said something silly like change this to final. Oh, I actually can't change it on this one. But let's say I change this to be like capital R result. Well, it would also say that this R was wrong because it's looking for an exact match. This is also when you see the autograder, it's the one exception to the rule of you should always ask the question with a C out before you ask them to enter the answer to the question with a C in. They don't do that because this program is not being run by a human, or it's not being tested by a human, it's being tested by the automatic grader. Okay, let's stop goofing around. So they want us to solve this problem, so I'd say it's num1 plus num2, and then divide all that by 3. Well, now you could worry about order of operations, or you could just realize, well, I could put that in parentheses by 3, and that'll fix the problem, right? Because you don't want it to divide 5 by 3 and then add 4 to it. That's not what it's asking. It's saying, add them all up, divide the whole by 3. So now should give the right answer in every case, not just the one case. But it didn't. Why? Because I forgot my semicolon. And this is twice in a row. Even when I wasn't recording this, I still made that mistake. So fair enough, but at least the autograder tells me what line is wrong and what the error is. So easy fix there. Great, and that's all passed. I would encourage you to pause the video now before I try to solve this problem and try to do it yourself. I highly recommend that. So I'll give you a second. All right, but I'm not going to actually just sit here. So if you didn't pause it, I'm going to get started. But I really would encourage you not just to watch the video and go, yeah, it makes sense. Try to do it yourself. What's being asked here? It says a drink is $2 each. Tacos are $4 each. And I want to know how much the total is. Cool. So I could do it in multiple steps. Something like add up the cost of drinks, add up the cost of tacos, add them together. But I'll do it in one step. Again, probably using parentheses. So I'll say total cost equals, I'll say 4 times num tacos plus 2 times num drinks. Right? I could have done that in the other order too. That's fine. The important thing is just that it's going to find out these values. And yeah, 4 times 2 is 8. 6 times 4 is 24, and that's 32. So that sounds right. Okay, so let's run it. And you didn't have to do it this way. You could have done taco cost, drink cost, and then total cost equals taco cost plus drink cost. That'd be fine too. The point here is some of this is the problem solving. It is getting you used to how all this interface works. And I wanted to introduce you to that because you'll get more of these questions as you go. Again, for now, challenge exercises are not part of the reading, but I might assign them as separate sort of like labs. So I encourage you to give them a try at least and see how they work. And see what it's like to work with your code in a limited situation like this. Okay, thanks. I'll make the video for the lab the next video, or rather the next video. Just keep it separate.